Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Hollywood Knitter Podcast. My name is Allison and I'll be your host. I have a little bit of a different setup today. I am recording on Saturday, April 2nd, and I happen to have a lot of beautiful daylight. So I kind of had to shift my recording a little bit so that I would avoid the glare of my door right here that the natural light is coming in. It's a beautiful day in Los Angeles. It's in the low 80s and I actually have like a little sundress and stuff on. It's just a beautiful day. I've been enjoying it, going for a walk this morning, and then I'm gonna go up on my deck in a little while. It's a little hot, but you gotta just enjoy it and soak up the sun when you can. So it has been a little while since my last episode and I have lots to talk about and lots to show you. Well, enough to show you. So let's get started. Let's start with my FO. I finished my Lefty and I'm actually wearing it. I finished it and I think I really like it. I was kind of on the fence about it and I don't know. I like it, but I don't know if I love it. And I have to love knit to keep it these days because your knitting wearing, especially for me in Southern California, is limited. So I have to love it. But I love it enough to wear right now. Oh, let me show you the backside. I actually really like the backside of this too. You can kind of see with the little garter strip. I think it would look just as kind of cool the opposite way as the way it was intended. So, and I'm going to wear it for the rest of this episode at least to kind of get at least one wear out of it. And this was knit in Miss Babs Yummy 2-ply in the oyster, and I used every little bit of it. That's what determined the length for me. And it ended up being 58 inches long by, at the widest point, 11 inches wide. And I ended up using, so every bit of the Miss Babs Yummy 2-ply, and I think it's the oyster colorway. And then I use Blue Moon, no, not Blue Moon. Let me look at what it was. It was Blue Ridge Footlights that I got as a gift, and I used 3 of the colors, and I used approximately 30 yards each. It was like 8 grams for each one, and that was the orange, the green, and the purple. So I was glad to have it done. It took me a long time. I put this on the needles in October, and I didn't finish it. When did I finish it? I finished it about 2 weeks ago. And I blocked it and did the whole thing, and so it is ready and finished. I just have to photograph it. Maybe I'll do that after this. And yeah, it was, Martina Bem does a lot of really good patterns, and I know this is one a lot of people have already done. So I really like doing it. And that's my only FO. Let's go with what I have been working on. So everybody knows about my linen stitch, and apparently I've inspired somebody else to start a linen stitch blanket. That's awesome. I have finished my March and I am up to 9 inches. That is one side, and I'll show you the other side. It's kind of the linen stitch, and it's good. I mean, it takes me about 10 days once I start working on it, and I pretty much do that exclusively at home. It's pretty mindless, it's linen stitch. And as I said, I'm only doing like the right side because I just puff it over to the other side, and so I'm only ever knitting and no purling on mine. I can see all my ends. I think this month I'm actually going to take the time to do the permanent tying and probably trimming, because I'm just kind of leaving them roughly like the same length, but I would like to I don't want to get all the way done and then have all of this edging to do. And originally I thought I would tie them in 3s, like an overhand knot, and then cut them that way. But I think I've decided to actually just do 2 rows at a time. And what I'm doing as I get to the end of them, of the 2, is I just do an overhand to tighten them, and then, crisscross like you're tying your shoes, and to tighten it. And then I take those 2 strands and do an overhand knot and then pull it all the way tight, all the way to the edge. So you kind of get, it's kind of hard to see, but you kind of just get that. And then I'm going to trim them to the length I want, which I'm not sure. It's going to be Not this long, that's for sure, because that's too long and it'll get all tangled. So I'm thinking maybe 3 inches or so, so like that long. And I think I'm going to basically every 3 months or so try to take care of the ends so that I can kind of keep up on it. And I'm really enjoying this. I have quite a bit of sock yarn scraps left, and I've started knitting with some sock yarn, and so I will just keep going. I think I'm going to, if worse comes to worse, I can always purchase minis to put in this if I ever run out of my sock yarn, meaning I'm not knitting other projects fast enough. But on some of these I have a lot of yarn left, and so you can, I really like the continuity by having the different colors like show up. So loving it. 9 inches of 72 done. 3 months into my 2-year project, and yeah, I'm excited. You can kind of put it away. So since I finished my Lefty, I had cast on a few projects. A few I talked to you about. One is I cast on the Lamb by Susan P. Henderson that I've had in my queue forever because I wanted to use some leftovers. And I actually cast this on a few times because first I was doubling up on the yarn and that made it too thick, and then I did different needle sizes, and then finally hit upon just following the pattern. I don't know, I thought my yarn, because it was like a boucle, it's like this soft kind of boucle yarn, and this is what I'm using for the fur, that I don't know, I had to do all these changes and I didn't. So far I've almost finished the little fat body, and this is what it looks like. It's I think it's a free pattern, but so I'm almost done with the body and I have this much left, so that will be enough because I think I just have to do the head. And then I think for the legs and the face and the ears, I'm just going to use this brown. It's just brown. So just a little softy. I do them every so often and have them, and I like to have them done. So I'm going to finish that soon. Actually, I had stopped it because it was going to require me to have stuffing available and all the things. So it moved away from the mindless into I have to pay a little attention. So I might work on that this weekend because I don't like to let it linger too long. And then I cast on. I was going to Yuma for one of my mini trips when the boyfriend was there a few weeks ago. And so I'm packing, and it's warm there, but I tend to try to take a shawl just in case, because sometimes I'll bring shawls in my purse, and that's what I'll carry instead of a jacket, because it's just enough warmth when it gets a little cooler at night. And I pulled out my Magic Cake ruffle shawl that I had made 2-3 years ago, when Paula had that one come out in the whole craze, and I'd used my sock stash scraps to make 2 magic balls, and I knit with one. It was crazy colors. I thought I wouldn't like it, and I love it. I wear it all the time. So I was looking at this going, wow, I really like this. I'd like another one. I'm going to pull that other ball out and cast on something right now. And that's kind of what I did. So last time I did like an alternating of purling and knitting, and this one I started off by like, oh, I'm going to do a triangular kind of section, and one side I'm going to do knitting and one side I'm going to do purling, and that just didn't work. It just didn't look right. So I had done like a whole color section and I ripped it back out and redid it. Then I decided I wanted a garter stitch, but I wanted it more crescent. My other one is very triangular, so it comes down very long on the front, and I was like, I would like the length but shallower, so more crescent. So I've kind of made up my own pattern so far, which is just a simple thing, but here it is so far. And I have just done garter stitch, and I'm increasing in the center every 4th row. So that's kind of the shallower, and these are all my colors so far. So you can kind of see my color progression. And when I put the ball together, I was very cognizant of trying to, like, the first one is purple, and then the next color had a purple in it. And then it has an orange, and there's an orange in the next one. So there's sort of a color progression. And I think I am about 2/3 of the way through it. I have about, I think, 46 inches across. and I have about 50 grams left still. And I was trying to look in here. It looks like I have 2 colors. I must have had a lot of these 2 colors. And then I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do the edge. I'm leaning towards a feather and fan edge. Yeah, that's what I'm leaning towards. But I have to get probably another 25 grams knit from this color because I want the length before I kind of go into the lace. So I have been knitting on this a lot at home and on travel because it's so mindless. And the only other thing I'm doing, besides I'm doing, as I said, the increases, center increases, every other row, I'm also, this is kind of my right side. You can kind of see it. Maybe can you kind of see it? I'm slip stitching, kind of, I have a 5-stitch center repeat, and I basically purl, slip stitch, purl, slip stitch. And I like that little detail, and though it looks good on both sides. And then I'm doing some yarn over action at the beginning of my rows to make sure that I have enough edge, enough stretch in the edge. So I'll probably just put all of the kind of the notes on how I did this into my project page and leave it at that if anyone is interested or cares to know what I'm doing. But I'm really liking it, and I'm hoping that I like the shawl as long as it has the length that I'm looking for. In the end, I think I'll be happy, and then I'll have another crazy color shawl. Though I am knitting this going, wow, some of this yarn would look really good in my linen stitch blanket. But I already balled it up for Magic Ball, and so I'm not gonna take it away. So I did that, and then because that was getting a little big, and even though it's not, doesn't require much thought at all, it kind of did. I noticed I was messing up when I was over, like, out doing it and talking. So I cast on for a pair of socks. And this is out of Western Sky Knits. The colorway I bought at Virginia Beach last year, and it was dyed up for that, so I can't remember what it was called, but it was the special Delaware. It's very beachy. It's got the blues and the grays and a little bit of the brown, tealy. It's beautiful. So I'm just knitting a pair of vanilla socks and slip stitch heel, toe up, you know, your standard kind of sock for me anyways. And I just got past the heel and kind of having this as some purse knitting, which I will need some mindless knitting. Socks are always mindless knitting for me. And that's what I have on the needles. Now, casting on. I said last time that I wanted to do the jewel cowl, and I still do. And I'm going to be doing it out of this twist yarn that I have, that I picked up at Vogue Knitting, I think, a little while ago. But this is a local company here. And it is a 30% silk, 70% superwash with a very tight, which I thought would be really good for the beaded part. Now, beads. I thought I had beads, and I went in and I looked at them and I didn't like them. So I went on to Artfire and kind of was trying to think what I would want, because this is kind of variegated gray silver, and what kind of beads I would want for that. And so I ordered like 5 different kinds of beads, figuring, you know, it's beads, I can keep them. They're only $25 for all of them. And so I've decided which one I'm going to use, but I thought I'd kind of show you. I tried some light amethyst beads and didn't like them. And these are more like lilac-y beads. No, didn't really do it. And then of course some round kind of silver beads. I also got some blends that they kind of make. They're called, this one is called Viola, and it's got like some greens and purples and silvers. It's kind of cool. I got some, like a green, I think it's like woodsy, mossy green. So it's got kind of all kind of shades of green beads. And then I didn't really get this for this project. I just like the color beads, and I thought maybe I'll use them someday. And these are like all rainbow. So cool. I like variegated beads. But the one I chose is called Vintage Violet. And it's shades of purples and silvers, and I like it. So that's what I'm going to do with my jewel cowl. And so this is going to be the next thing I cast on once I finish probably one of them. I'm not sure which one, but I'm going to cast it on. Oh, and since I haven't beaded in a while, last time I beaded, I used crochet hook. It was really slow. So I bought super floss, and I'm going to try the super floss method of beading. So I'm excited about that. I have been reading about how that happens and how you do it, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's my knitting, and that's what I'm kind of planning, and I'm going to need at least one more project because I'm going to be doing some traveling with knitting soon, and I probably going to do a hat or something. I'm going to look at my queue, everything I queued up, pull from my stash, do that. So that's all I have like in my knitting that's been going on. But in a bit of gossip, what did I want to talk about? I've been doing a few things. Like I went to Yuma, both weekends he was there. So I got some knitting, as I said, done there. Though 2 weekends in a row was kind of crazy, but I miss my boyfriend when he's not home. So if I can make the effort to go see him, I do. I went to a friend's wedding, a friend from college. It was beautiful. It seems like I don't go to a ton of weddings anymore. I think because most of my friends are married. He's a little late in terms of getting married, but he got married on St. Patrick's Day in this beautiful place in Riverside. And he had a bagpipe, and the girls wore green dresses, the bridesmaids, and the guys had green ties, and it was a lot of fun. And it was nice to be like, take a Thursday off, and I was able to go with my girlfriend, who I've known her since college, so 20 something years. And I don't get to see her very often because she's got kids, and so it was nice just the two of us to kind of have a date night. Unfortunately, because she couldn't get childcare, her husband had to stay home and watch it, because I would have liked to go out with him too. I really like her husband. So I did that, and I went to Wondercon. Yay! Wondercon is the comic book convention that it's an offshoot of the San Diego Comic-Con, which is the big one that I went to for 10 years, and now I don't go to because it's too crazy to get tickets, and hotels are crazy, and getting into any of the panels is crazy. But a few years ago, I started going to Wondercon, which is the smaller comic book convention. And I've actually gone to Wondercon quite a few years. It used to be up in the San Francisco area in February, and I used to go up to there, and then they moved it to Anaheim, and I've gone to that the last 2 or 3 years. And then this year it was in LA. So that was even easier. We didn't have to do, anything. It's when you can sleep in your own bed, it's awesome. So we went on Friday and picked up passes and just kind of walked around a little bit. But then all day Saturday we spent there, and was my boyfriend and his son, and saw so many things. There's so many cool things. Just walking the floor all day. And we did see the premiere of one of the new DC animated movies, Justice League versus Teen Titans, and it was a perfect kind of break to the day. And I really like the animated movies, so that was great. And there were some panels I wanted to see, like iZombie, and they had a Sleepy Hollow panel, but just didn't happen that way. We had thought about going back on Sunday, and we were just tired. I was like, I'm good. I saw a lot of stuff, and we bought a few things. I got a t-shirt and a record. So that was fun. And we got records because my boyfriend got a new record player that he bought off a Kickstarter. He is a Kickstarter fanatic. He backs a lot of things on Kickstarter. And this is, I think, called a floating record player. I should turn it around and so you can see it. But the record is vertical, and so then it kind of goes. And who knew he had a record collection? He had told me that he had ordered this, and Kickstarter backed it like 7 or 8 months ago. And he's like, oh, I have a bunch of records. And all of a sudden this came, and then he came in with a box of records from his mom's house that he's had for 30, 40 years. So we've been going through them and playing. He's got a lot of Frank Sinatra, a lot of old blues. And when we were at Wondercon, Disney had records, and they're beautiful. And so I bought my favorite musical, Disney musical animated, which was The Little Mermaid. He bought his to replace actually one that is damaged, and that was The Jungle Book. And then we got like a Star Wars one. So that was one of our purchases at Wondercon. And then the other thing about Wondercon and what was so great about LA is that the costumes were amazing. So awesome to walk through, and just there's so much cosplay, and so much of it is so well done. Really well done. So it's always cool to see the characters you know, and then asking like, well, what character is that? And I don't know a lot of the animated and anime things, so we were with someone who knew a little bit more about that, and so it was like, oh, that's so-and-so, or that's whatever, and it's fun. It's just fun, and it's good to see a lot of independent artists, a lot of independent artisans making a lot of different crafts, and showing their wares, and able to support them and do something like that. So it will be next year back in Anaheim. I guess it wasn't in Anaheim because they were having construction this year, but the next 2 years are going to be there, though LA, I think, is going to try to compete in terms of future ones. But we're already looking forward to next year in Anaheim. We're talking about like going the whole weekend and just going down there and staying in a hotel. It would be fun. And also this week, my poor kitty, who is off somewhere, she had to have dental work, which wasn't fun, including pulling 2 of her canine teeth. Now, she is 13. She's getting a little up there, but it was funny because they give her like a time release painkiller. So I didn't have to give her any extra meds or anything when she came home, but they basically said she'll look like she's on drugs the next few days. She'll be a little off in her behavior. And she was so affectionate, like crazy kitten affectionate, which is not my standoffish girl. and been feeding her. It seems like she's recovering fine. Today or yesterday was the first day she's sort of having normal behavior, but she is being a little off. She's kind of hiding under the bed, or not hiding under the bed, but going off by herself when normally she would be hearing me talk and she would be right here. But she's kind of, you know, recovering. I'm sure it hurt. She got 2 canines and 2 regular teeth pulled. So hopefully that will make it better for her in the long run. And she's been on soft foods and in the house, though she hasn't wanted to go outside, which is another thing that's not like her. But we'll see if she feels like her old self the next few days. And podcasts. I've been enjoying a few new podcasts, and I know a lot of people talk about podcasts they watch, and 2 of the ones that I have recently in the past week, because of other people talking about them, plugged into, one are the Grocery Girls, who are out of Canada, and these are both video, and they're awesome sisters, and I love watching them. And I think being someone who's getting older, I like to see people of my age podcasting. I like people who are younger who are podcasting too, and I watch some of them. But the humor, the interaction, it just, I don't know, feels more like people I would hang out with. So that's the Grocery Girls. And then another pair of sisters similar is the Periscoping Sisters. And so I highly recommend both those podcasts if you are looking for new video casts. And I think they're all on YouTube. That's what I've been watching them through. I know the Grocery Girls have been talked about all over. Like, they are the new thing, and they're so much fun to listen and watch, and the interaction, and it's awesome. I highly recommend it. So I guess that's kind of all I have to talk about for gossip, but let's talk about Press Junket and where I'm going to be traveling. In 2 weeks, I will be at the Northern California Knitting Retreat, the Knockers Retreat, the second one. This is the second year and my second time attending. And this is the retreat that's put on by the Yarniacs as well as the Two Millet Chicks. And it is in San Juan Capistrano or San Juan Bautista at like a retreat center. And it's beautiful and secluded and quiet, and it's got great food, great people, and it's just going to be a weekend of knitting. And to make it more awesome, my friend Martha Knit Crit is coming out, and she will be going up with me to the retreat. So, ooh, I'm very excited. That's in 2 weeks. That's why I have to get some, social knitting on the needles. I might need another non-thinking project. That's what the hat might be. And then I am going to a weekend in Austin with my girlfriends at the end of April. And then I come back, and then the next weekend I fly to Maryland Sheep and Wool. Yes, I will be going to Maryland Sheep and Wool and hanging out with all my friends. I'm so excited. Very excited. And I have decided after that I am going to attend Zombie Apocalypse. I know last one I was kind of on the fence, and I've just decided to pull the trigger. I'm going. I purchased my ticket, and I had my hotel reservation, so I will be at Zombie Apocalypse, and I'm very excited to go there too. That will be my 3rd year attending, so that will be fun. And then I'm going to take a little time off from doing anything for a month or two. And I'm going to have my niece and nephew out for a week. I'm going, this was actually kind of funny. My nephew is going to be 14 and my niece is 6 or 7. I'm such a bad auntie. But ever since my nephew was born, I've been like, oh, I want him to come out and see and stay with me for a week. But it was never, and the idea that he would come by himself. Oh, you're going to come visit your Auntie Allie in California, and et cetera, et cetera. But his personality didn't allow him to fly by himself. He's a very timid kid, and my sister just was like, no. So I've always had my mom come out, or my sister, or my brother. So this was the first year that I'm like, can I have them, the two of them? Because my niece, she's not timid at all. In fact, I could stick her on a plane and she would be fine. The person who's not as fine with it is her mom. But finally worked on them, and I was able to come up with a compromise. So I'm going to fly them to Vegas, where I will be for my boyfriend's cousin's party, as well as it happens to be the weekend my sister has a conference in Vegas. So I'm going to fly the kids with my mother to Vegas, then drive back with them to LA, keep them all week, and then they can fly back by themselves to Boston. Now, I had to do it this way because my sister was going to be out of town, and she didn't want anyone else to drop them off at the airport or anyone else to be there to pick them up. So I have to do a one-way with my mother and fly them, and then she'll stay in Vegas and fly back with my sister. And then they can fly back by themselves because my sister will be home and will be able to pick them up. But I'm very excited to have my niece and nephew for a whole week, and we're going to do fun things, and I'll have to see. We have a lot of, places around here, Disney and Legoland and Magic Mountain. So I'm going to see what they want to do because they have been to a lot of them. They do come to see me. I think last time you were out here was 2 years ago. And then we're going to go to San Diego too for the weekend, and we're going to do that, and that will be fun. But I'm excited to have them for a whole week because they are awesome kids, but they're more awesome to me when they're not around my mom, their parents, because they turn a little bratty then. And Auntie doesn't do bratty. And when they're just with me, they're fine. We have usually one clash where it's more a power clash, and I'm a very straightforward auntie. Like I don't coddle them, and I say what is happening. And like, for example, like they're on vacation, and so we'll go somewhere, and I'm like, okay, I will buy you a present or whatever that's no more than $20, and I'll have them, I want this. Well, that's $30. Okay, but I want it. Nope, it's not $20. But this is what I want. I told you, no more than $20. And that's what we're sticking with. So, no, you can't have it. And so we have usually one of those kind of power plays. Usually the beginning, there might be some tears, and then they're fine the rest of the time. And that's kind of how we roll. And then but then if my sister comes in and she's there, then everything's out the window. They just turn into, different kids. Different people are different around different people. And it's no different in my experience, for my niece and nephew. So that will be in August. And then the last big thing, and I've been actually thinking about it because I've been doing a lot of stuff, is my 40th birthday. I will be turning 40, and I and friends are going to Hawaii. And I finalized kind of the guest list. It's going to be my brother and sister, and their significant others, and then 3 of my girlfriends and their husbands. So there will be a group of 12 of us, and we're going to be going to Oahu for a week, and then everyone will go do whatever they want, go home or stay or whatever, but then my boyfriend and I will go to Maui for a week by ourselves. And I just booked the house. So we're going to be staying in the Waikiki area for 2 nights, and then going to the North Shore and staying in this beautiful house on the beach, all 12 of us. And I'm very excited. And so I just kind of did the booking this week. So I sent out an email to everybody, plenty of time. And yes, I am so looking forward to a trip that's 7 months away. But I've never been to Hawaii, and I hear it's amazing. Everyone says I'm going to love it. And I just love the anticipation, even though it's so far away. And so we will be going, as I said, for 2 weeks. Eek. So that's kind of what I've been doing. Dreaming of vacations. That's the planning is as fun to me as actually taking them. So, but some of the ones we've been planning are 2 weeks away. So yay. And I think that's all for today. So you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Allison1031. There is a Hollywood Knitter podcast Ravelry group if you'd like to join. And until next time, that's a wrap from Hollywood, where fantasy meets fiber and dreams are knit. Bye, everybody.